This is the 2024 Ford Bronco Big Bend with the Sasquatch package. In this video, we're going to put it to the test right here at our mountain test course. That's coming up right now on Driving Sports TV. Welcome back to the Driving Sports TV mountain test course just outside of Ellensburg, Washington. Today we're going to see if this enthusiast spec Bronco can conquer our most difficult trail, the Anaconda. The Big Bend is a base spec four-door Bronco that starts at just over $43,000. Our tester here has been upgraded with the Sasquatch package, which adds advanced four-wheel drive, rear and front lockers, the Haas 2.0 system with Bilstein dampers, fender flares, 4.7 final drive ratio, and 35-inch Goodyear Territory mud terrain tires. This one also has the optional hardtop, a 10-speed automatic, and the hot pepper red metallic paint, for a price as you see it of $55,415 US, including destination. Under the hood is a standard 2.3-liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder, producing a peak 300 horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque. EPA rates economy on this setup at 18 miles to the gallon in town and 17 on the highway. Yes, it has less MPGs on the freeway because look at this thing. A lobster has better aerodynamics. Today we're going to have a lot of fun as we put this Bronco to the test. So let's hop in and get started. This is the entry-level Bronco, or at least it is now. It's kind of funny though. They added the Sasquatch package to the entry-level vehicle, but this vehicle does not include any underbody protection. Yes, it's added a ton of off-road functionality, but we have to be careful because that skid plate in front, yeah, it's plastic. Luckily, we have a ton of ground clearance to work with here, especially thanks to those 35-inch tires. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bop on over here to the Rattler, and that's just to kind of, get used to the thing, have some fun with it. Now, I'm not expecting any, approach, departure, breakover issues today. Actually, breakover might be a problem since this is a four-door, but we will see. We'll play it by ear, see what happens. The Rattler here is basically a road that we designed to look like a lot of the forest roads in the Pacific Northwest. It is covered with 4x8 rocks, but at this point it's kind of settled in, and it's a very easy course because the rocks have basically planted themselves. Right now I have this set for 4 auto, and I want to try something here. I'm going to keep it in 4 auto, but I want to try the trail control because that does come on this vehicle. The trail control is like crawl control that Toyota uses, wherein it's kind of like a cruise control for off-road situations. Let's see. So 4 auto, trail control, hit set, and now I can adjust the speed. 1, 2, 3. Let's do 1, see what the slowest speed setting is. In addition to just managing throttle and brake, this will also use the traction control system to help shift power around the system. Now, yes, it's true, because this has the Sasquatch package, it also has both front and rear lockers, but I'm not going to play with those yet, just so you can kind of see what trail control looks like on this fairly easy course. Okay, let's go ahead and increase the speed a little bit to 3 and see what that does. Okay, now we're moving along a little bit. Okay, so this is where it's going to get a little steeper, and it's going to be a little bit off camber here as we climb up. So now we're fighting for traction. Let's just see how this system does in 4 auto. Pretty good. This is where it's going to lift some traction off that driver's side tire. Driver's side front, and let's see how it shifts power around. Up, 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 and away. Gets through, no problem. Okay, I think we're pretty much done with 4 auto at this point. Trail control, 4 auto, it's a very potent combination. Instead of just switching to 4 low, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the GOAT mode, which is the go over all terrain mode, to, well, we don't have a rock mode, so I'm just going to go ahead and do mud ruts, and that should shift me. Oh, that only goes into 4 high. Huh. So they don't really have a 4 low auto system. Interesting. Can I switch to 4 low from here? Yes, I can. And that also gives me the off-road screen. Now I can see my inclinometers on the right. Okay, up next, we're going to try something a little bit more challenging, and that is our Sidewinder trail. rotate. Now, obviously I'm in 4-low, which locks a transfer case. And because of that, turning is gonna be a little slower because power is evenly distributed front to back. So you're gonna end up with a little skipping as you go around corners. That's why 4 Auto is so nice, or 4 Advanced as Ford calls it. When you're in 4-low or 4-high, it locks that center transfer case, which gives you a 50-50 torque split. This is oversimplified, but it's the basic idea, which means when you're turning corners, you're not going to shift power because your front wheels actually have a broader turning radius than your rear wheels. So you're going to end up with some stuttering as you go around corners. Just be aware of that. And that's kind of why you also don't want to be doing 4-high or 4-low when you're on paved surfaces. When you're on gravel or dirt, it'll slip on the gravel or dirt, whereas if you're on pavement, it's going to cause a lot of stress to your powertrain. Okay. So this would be a place where I could use trail control to help with the hill descent, but it's really not that steep, so I'm not going to worry about it. Let's just get over to the challenge section of Sidewinder. Having 35-inch tires is a little bit like a cheat code. It improves your approach, your departure, your breakover, gives you much more ground clearance and a lot more grip. So I think my concern of putting 35s on a vehicle without underbody protection is that you're going to be more inclined to try sketchy stuff. And it's when you get into that sketchy stuff where things become, well, they can be very expensive mistakes. It's kind of where you really want body armor. So here we are on the first real challenge of this particular course. It's going to be a little bit back and forth, and then we have a tabletop and then a steep climb out. So right now we have 4-low engaged, and then we also have the rear locker automatically came on when I went into the off-road mode. I don't have the front locker on yet. Just kind of see what this does with just the rear. With the Sasquatch package, this Bronco has 11.5 inches of ground clearance, which, like I said, is good considering there's no underbody protection on this vehicle. But the transmission, the front engine, it's all basically just plastic. They're basically aero pieces. It kind of makes this one like the mall cruiser trim. But as you can see, it's still very capable. We just have to be careful. Up the hill, this is pretty steep. We're looking at about 20 degrees so far. It's kind of a loose surface, but it is settled in. We built it a couple years ago. And I'm just, man, 35-inch tires are such a cheat code. They just make it super easy. I mean, rear locker, 35s, yeah, can pretty much go anywhere. Add in the front locker and you really can go anywhere. So the hot suspension on this, it actually feels pretty good. It's damping the harsher impacts and making it a pretty smooth, comfortable experience. I also like the seats. These are now using a kind of, what's this called, like a marine synthetic. And it seems like it'd be really easy to keep these clean. Right, well, that was easy. I think it's time to kick things up a notch here. So now it's time to try the ladder, which is our very steep climb. See if we need to try something more than just a locker, you know? And some of our trails that are lesser used are completely turned into jungle. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, let's get set up. Because as a Bronco, I can get set up the hard way. Just climb up the mountain there. Okay. Let's line up. So this is the ladder. It's really just about being steep, slippery, and then about 3/4 of the way up, there's a ditch on the right, which is going to unsettle traction. I am just going to keep the vehicle in 4-low, and let's see what it can do with 35s. Off we go. Now, I have not aired down. I'm actually running factory tire pressures right now. Obviously, yes, you can improve traction if you reduce pressure, but We test all vehicles equally here, and we'll always try. Oh, is it using wheel braking? I think it's using wheel braking. Yes. Emulating a front locker with the wheel brake system. But obviously we do actually have a front locker here, so we will be using that in a little bit when we really need it. And this is now the steepest part, the second part here, and we're looking at I think about 24 degrees, 23, 24. Yeah, and it is working, and getting its way up. And hey, you know what? I just realized I deactivated the rear locker. That was all with no locker. Right. So, I'll definitely remember to turn the lockers on next time. But now you can see what it can do even without a rear locker engaged, which is pretty good. That wheel braking kicks in, shifts power left to right. It works well. Now, I will say, based on my experience, the Ford brake vectoring system isn't quite as good as Toyota's, but as you can see, it is plenty capable for conditions like this. Well, now let's do what we came out here to do. We're going to go up the Anaconda. That locker off, I can turn a little quicker. If only there was a feature to be able to do tighter turns. We'll get to that. Okay, now that we're here on the Anaconda, it's time to get serious. I'm going to keep it in 4 low. I'm actually going to engage both lockers, so those are both on now, and we'll see what we can do. This first approach is very steep, very loose, and it has good-sized boulders. The biggest concern I have here is the fact that we have no underbody protection, so flinging rocks up can potentially cause damage. So I want to kind of keep my throttle at a minimum, as much as is necessary, but no more than that. So I'm in drive, fully locked, and let's see if we can just walk up this. Whoa, 35s, baby! Yeah! So far this season, I have taken a number of vehicles up here. Everything from the 35-inch Jeep Wrangler Rubicon to the Land Rover Defender, the Ineos Grenadier, you name it. I'd say that entryway, you gotta have 35s for an easy time at it. Everything else is really, really difficult. So here we have a very sharp turn. And remember what I was saying earlier about how when you're fully locked, turning can become a little difficult? Well, I'm going to unlock the front. I'm going to turn on turn control that actually disengages both of the lockers. And what it's going to do is when I go full lock, it's going to use brakes on that inside tire to rotate me around. Yes, it causes a little trail damage, but this is my trail. It's a good way of doing these really sharp turns when you have no other option. This next section, I would love to have a front camera, but I don't have one because this is, of course, a Big Bend-based Bronco, which means it's the base trim. So I'm going to listen for grinding, especially because this is the 4-door, so it's a little longer. Breakover isn't quite as good. Let's check that approach. Okay, now we got double dips here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and double lock so we don't spin our wheels and get any lower than we need to get here. First wheel goes into the hole. Listen for grinding. We don't have any rock rails or anything like that. Oh, I actually felt that rear tire lift up a little bit. That's crazy. This thing has so much articulation. And yeah, it is independent suspension in the front and a solid axle in the rear, and that's really what makes this different than a Wrangler. The Wrangler's solid axle front and back, but that gives this much better handling on the road, but it does limit front articulation as part of the process. But as you can see today, hasn't really been an issue. Okay, down into the next hole, gonna line up with that rock. I have to say that the hood does make it easy to line up where the tires are. I'm not feeling like I'm struggling here to figure out where my wheels are. I would even say front camera, maybe not 100% necessary. Of course, if you are spotting yourself, then it's nice. Okay, well, let's go all the way to the top. I am going to use the turn control here again, turn off that front locker, because there's a very tight corner here, and let's just see what this thing can do. So it's going to apply brake to that inside wheel. Can we get around it? No. So the thing I find, having used turn control in the past, is that you got to really drive a Bronco a lot to kind of know when it's going to snap in, because you have to add throttle, you have to be fully locked there, and now it's grabbing. So it's a little inconsistent as to when it comes into play, but that's okay. It's still a cool trick to have. So now I'm going to go back to front and rear lockers on. I'm still in 4 low. I can't see a thing over my hood because I'm pointing up at the sky. 22-degree tilt. Now I know I have a boulder up here that I'm going to try to place my wheel on. Pardon the wind noise when this window goes down, but I need to see where I'm driving. Come on, where's that boulder at? There we go. I want to put my wheel right on the boulder and not on the side because I don't want the boulder to tip. There we go. And then down, and then all the way up. Dude, this thing, it is unstoppable. Yeah. Continuing up. Another bump right here. Gotta watch those branches on the inside. Whoop, there we go, barely cleared. Oh, yeah, I didn't have quite enough ground clearance there. Kind of bumped something there, I don't know what. Okay, now here we have the final climb out. We are currently at 20, and we're not nearly as steep as it's gonna get. So here we go, up and out. I'm just keeping it very slow because I don't want the wheels to start spinning. And are we gonna get up? Oh, could use momentum, but we can get up without it. Yes, did it. I mean, I had no doubt. Dude, this thing is awesome. So that's the 2024 Ford Bronco Big Bend. So now that we've driven this up a mountain, time to answer the question, would you get this or would you get the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon? And my choice has always been with the Bronco, and that's simply because independent front suspension. It just makes it so much nicer to drive on the highway. Now, some people are like, you know what? I'm gonna give that up for more off-road capability, and I get that. I mean, you get a 2-door Jeep Wrangler on 35s, you're unstoppable. Like, yeah, you can get over anything. But the Bronco, I prefer its interior. I love the features. That turn assist is actually useful once you get used to it. It does take a while to get used to it though. And I just love the way these things look. So yeah, which one would you pick? Would you pick this? Would you pick the Wrangler? Or would you pick something totally different? Post a comment below. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Dafford. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again right here real soon. Oh, and make sure to hit share, like, and subscribe, right? That's what it's all about.